It's 2001 and we're still coming off the high of 1999's The Matrix and awaiting the sequels. Bullet time has become a norm in media since the movie's release, making it one of the coolest effects of all time. It's crept into movies, TV shows, commercials, and finally, video games. Welcome back, lore lovers, where today we'll be covering everyone's favorite Norse cop, Max Payne. Today, we'll delve into the original Max Payne game, the mechanics of the game, and a bit of the story. We'll talk about a little theory of ours and how we think Max could even be a part of some modern day Norse mythology. Is he a god? Or is he just some representation of an old Norse tragic hero? Stick around and enjoy this week's gaming bio. The first implementation of bullet time came with an amazing game called Requiem, Avenging Angel, where you played as an angel who was sent to Earth to eliminate demons and other unworldly threats with your angel powers, one of which was a bullet time effect. Although it was a successful game in 1999 on the heels of The Matrix, it didn't quite break the surface with its mechanics like Max Payne did. If anything, The Matrix paved the way for the mechanic, Requiem tested and used it, and Max Payne perfected it for everyone else in the industry. Max Payne released in July of 2001, a game about an NYPD detective/DEA agent whose family was murdered and he seeks vengeance on those who committed the crime. Sound familiar? A lot of people like to draw comparisons between Max Payne and Frank Castle, the Punisher, but the similarities pretty much end at their favorite color wardrobe and, dare I say, family matters. Max is wittier and more poetic in the way he accomplishes things and even has a sense of humor. Although that sense of humor can be dark at times, he uses his humor in a way to deal with the situations presented to him. Very similar to John McClane from the Die Hard series. I think this is why fans resonate so much more with these types of characters. They're people put in terrible situations but make light of it even when things are at their worst. A prime example of this is during the first game, which pits Max against the notorious mob underboss Jack Lapino, who, if we're honest, looks more like a guy who had a long night at a beach resort that got Mike Tyson's face tattooed during a blackout tirade. Max fixated on Lapino after his partner Alec Balder was murdered, and upon learning that a large portion of the drug Valkyr was being run through Lapino. Valkyr being the sole reason his family was murdered, due to Max's wife having received a leaked dossier at the DA's office where she worked. Whew, okay, I think we're caught up. Now, the drug itself has a history with the Max Payne world that mimics a lot of our own real-world counterparts. It was created by the government in 1991 and used until 1995 during Project Valhalla. It was used for the purpose of performance enhancement of soldiers who were serving in the Gulf War. The results of Valkyr were lackluster though, due to several side effects, most notably addiction, long and vivid hallucinations, and mental deterioration over time. Due to this, the project was scrapped towards the end of '95. Now, Jack Lapino turns out to just be a guy who's involved in a larger plot of Valkyrie or the V-drug. You see, it goes much higher than him. Max slowly works his way up the chain of bad people, eventually even getting help from some, until he can face his real enemy. A pharmaceutical president? Those are the worst, right? Now, I'm not here to spoil the ending of a 25-year-old game, but Max does get his revenge, in a sense, but there's never been a complete resolution for him, because his past continues to haunt him throughout each installment. And I suppose that is the tragedy of Max Payne and how he leans so well into the Norse mythology. Although Max Payne is not literally a Norse god, the games intentionally use Norse mythology as a metaphor to frame his tragic and intense journey. Max's story is heavily influenced by mythological themes such as fate, loss, and redemption, similar to how the gods of Norse myth face inevitable doom in Ragnarok, which is actually a club in Max Payne 2. Max, like the gods of Norse mythology, endures extreme personal suffering and battles forces much larger than himself. Here, they're symbolized through the corrupt systems and conspiracy he fights against. His character can even be compared to mythological figures such as Odin, Fenrir, or even Balder. He's similar to Odin in a sense that he harbors this loss and isolation. Odin, like Max, is a figure of isolation, often seen brooding over his knowledge of the world's inevitable end, Ragnarok. Max too is isolated by his quest for revenge and justice, haunted by the knowledge that he can never truly escape the pain of his past. He mimics Baldur not only through losing his best friend with that name, but also through tragedy and fate. Baldur, a beloved figure in Norse mythology, is doomed by fate despite efforts to protect him. Max's family, like his partner Baldur's death, is a central tragedy that propels him into a cycle of violence and vengeance. The inevitability of these events gives Max's life a similar tragic and fated tone, as though he's cursed to suffer no matter what he does. Although his vengeance is fueled by the murder of his family, it's when his partner is also killed that things are really set in motion. Lastly, but certainly not the last, Fenrir the Wolf and Max are similar in aspects of rage and vengeance. Fenrir, the monstrous wolf, is bound by the gods but destined to break free and wreak havoc during Ragnarok. Max Payne similarly is bound by his grief and trauma, but eventually unleashes his rage on those responsible for his suffering. His relentless pursuit of revenge mirrors the uncontrollable fury and destruction associated with Fenrir. This is, of course, all kind of just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the comparisons though. Throughout the game, we're giving numerous clues that expand upon the Norse theme. Max's investigation of Valkyr, a derivative of the Norse word Valkyrie, meaning chooser of the slain. The club, Ragnarok, the characters of Baldur and Woden, sounds a lot like Odin. A Seer Corporation, Project Valhalla, there's even a building called Asgard in the first game, and the theme continues onto the other games. In Max Payne 2, we're introduced to a company called the Yggdrasil Network. This is also where Vlad owns a boat named Haron, and in Max Payne 3, there's a location called Mimir's Head. So, while Max Payne doesn't embody any specific Norse deity elements of his narrative, such as his battle with fate, his association with death, and references to apocalyptic events, or Ragnarok, parallel the struggles of those gods in Norse mythology, making him feel like a modern, tragic hero in a mythological framework. Lore lovers, this has been another episode of Gaming Bios. If you liked this video, hit the like button, and if you're not already subscribed, we'd love to have you on board. Were you able to draw any parallels between Max Payne and other Norse figures? If so, we'd love to hear about it in the comments. Also, if you have a character that you think we should cover in a gaming bio, please leave it down there as well. We'd love to hear it. Until next time, lore lovers.